Welcome to the Zone Collectibles and More. Today's video is episode number 3 in our Tales from the Zone series, titled Thanos, His Orientation in Question. This is something that happened a few months ago. It was really kind of interesting how you have people who are MCU fans, but that's all they know. They know what they've thrown up on the big screen, and that is it. You have people who are print, comic book, Marvel Entertainment, and they're purists. They'll pick apart every Marvel movie for inaccurate details. Then you have yet another section of the Marvel fandom who read the source material and understand Hollywood's going to use their right to tweak it the way they see fit for wider audience base, more money, more social, whatever you want to call it, that they want to inject into their particular franchise. So you have 3 camps, the MCU proper, Marvel Entertainment proper, and then the ones that understand that a hybrid sometimes has to be done so that you can see your most favorite characters, boom, alabang, on the big screen. Okay, so I had a few guys here in the shop. Again, why we do this series, hanging around the back issue bin. And when anyone comes into the zone, I say, welcome to the zone. If I can show you anything, just holler. And I had a young gentleman come in, and when he walked into the door, he kind of stopped inside the door to the right is where we have the Marvel Gallery figures and Marvel Select figures. And he's over there looking at the figures, and the guys are over here by the Marvel and DC section chit-chatting back and forth, looking through back issues. And young buck over there by the Marvel Select says, "Excuse me." I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Can I help you with anything?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "This action figure's wrong." I said, "Okay." I said, "Which one is it?" He said, "Well, the Thanos figure." He goes, "It's got a picture of death, but it's a female." And I said, "Well, that is correct." I said, "In the comic books, to the best of my recollection of the whole Thanos and death thing, the reason Thanos, wanted to do the snap was so that he could give Death a gift because he wanted to date her, and it would give her a present that she'd never gotten before, which is all of these people crossed over to the other side." And he goes, "Well, you do know that that's not right." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, Death is the Red Skull." I said, "Well, no, really now, you got to remember that the comic books are one thing and the MCU proper is another thing." I said, "In this case, from my understanding, Red Skull is the caretaker for the Soul Stone. And the reason why is because he has nothing that he loves, so he can't make the sacrifice to possess the Soul Stone. So he's the perfect caregiver and the one who's going to be taking care of it, the protector of the Soul Stone." Well, young buck looks at me. I'm looking at the back issue bin. At this point in time, both sides, the guys on both sides of the aisle have just been kind of quiet. And the young buck over by the Marvel Select says, "Basically, you're telling me that Thanos is," and he starts out with a G and an A, and I say, whoa. Obviously, you don't understand, buddy. And so the boys from the back issue bins are starting to walk down the middle of the store. They're going to have a discussion with young buck. I kind of got ahead of the situation. I just put my arm around him. I said, "Look," I said, "if we want to talk about this any other day, you can come talk to me." I said, "But right now, before you get your feelings hurt, I think you should just probably go." And he goes, "Well, I'll look into it. I'll Google it later and I'll come back," and he left. I turn around and these guys have such a puzzled look on their face. They're like, "What'd you do that for, Kev? We weren't going to hurt him much." And I said, "Yeah," I said, "exactly." I said, And no, I said, when the little hairs, the little spidey sense on the back of my neck kind of turned up, you guys weren't ready to have discussion with Young Buck. Young Buck wasn't ready to have a discussion with you on this subject. I said, so it was just kind of really brings to point one of the ongoing discussions that we have here, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe versus the print history, and then versus with the fans who actually understand that they do what they do for a monetary reason and to make it commercially viable. I just thought that story was kind of interesting. As kind of like a follow-up, Young Buck went back. He ended up having some lunch, and he was still kind of curious. He came back and kind of dropped his perceived notion. The guys who were left here kind of dropped their perceived notion of Young Buck being, ignorant on the Marvel Universe, which is not the case. He was just well-versed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, he had questions about the original storyline, and they were telling him, back and forth about the pluses and minuses between the storyline and what they showed on screen. And it really just came down to one of those great teaching moments where, originally everybody was really hyped about the accusation of Thanos being of a questionable orientation, and an opportunity to teach, kind of give their experience forward. He was explaining some of the nuances as he saw it with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and at the end of the day, it was really cool. And I don't mind telling you, that one was a little hard to... It was one of those discussions where we have them often, but at that point in time, something just told me, yeah, another time, and I was right. The time happened to be a few hours later, and we had that real meaningful discussion, and everybody came out with something positive in the end. The new school understood the old school. The old school got more of an appreciation for the Marvel Cinematic Universe through the eyes of only someone who's only known the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He never saw a animated series. He played a few video games. Never read a comic book. Young Buck didn't. So he was just kind of thrown off by the whole situation. But on a side note, if you guys do get a chance to get a hold of the Marvel Select, Thanos with the statue of death that has a female faceplate you can put over the skull, it has to be one of the most beautiful sets I've seen. And that is truly a seriously heavy action figure. It's not hollowed out. It's not something that's been snapped together. It was really well thought out, and it is very heavy. It's beautiful quality, and at the price that they run, I'd suggest anybody go to your local comic shop. And if you're a Thanos fan, if you're an MCU fan, hey, that's great. Set the statue aside. If you're an original storyline fan, the statue of death next to Thanos is just perfect. And I really hope that, you kind of take away from this that, there are other points of view out there. The Marvel Cinematic Universe isn't perfect. But without them having to tweak it the way they did, we would probably never see some of these characters on the big screen. So we kind of got to be appreciative of the process. Be a little bit more respectful of other points of view until you can find out where they're rooted. And I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there for you guys. Just another tale from the zone. As always, this has been me, Kevin, the resident RM here at the Zone, signing off. Over for now, but never out. Have a great day, and let's keep those fandom flags flying, y'all.